Hush. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right, I am going to call to order the Tuesday, May 27th, 2025 meeting of the Planning Commission. Y'all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kristen, can you do roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Dolan?
Here.
Commissioner Bartis noted he would be absent this evening. Chair Kempner?
Here.
Commissioner Stapp?
Here.
Commissioner Hamame?
Here.
Commissioner Ernstman?
Here.
And Commissioner Woods.
Here.
Do we have to make a motion still?
We're still doing that for right now,
Okay.
yes.
Does anyone want to make a motion to excuse Commissioner Bartis?
Motion to excuse Commissioner Bartis for the meeting today.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? He's excused. Approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Approval of the minutes of April 22nd, 2025. Does anybody have any changes or motions?
I will move to approve the meeting minutes of April 22nd, 2025. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Communications.
Just that you have the latest issue of Michigan Planner.
Thank you. Now is the time for citizen comments and my little spiel. It's been a while since we've had people here. Okay, this is for items not on the agenda. You will have time to address agenda items during the meeting. For any comments, we'll ask that you come to the podium, state your name and city of residence, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. The Planning Commission will not engage you in conversation, but will be noting your comments and will try to address them during discussion. If you have any further questions, do we have a sign-in sheet over there? We have a sign-in sheet. Oh, and generally, if you're going to speak, please sign your name in there so we can spell it right during the minutes. Are there any citizen comments for items not on the agenda? Okay, moving on. PSP 0225 and PSU 0125 at 4162 12 Mile Road, 4150 12 Mile Road, and 4138 12 Mile Road. Would you like to give us an overview?
We have Miss Michelle Marin here from Carlisle Wortman, who did the planning review, so I will defer to her.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Kristen, and thank you, Madam Chair. So this project is for a gas station / convenience store at the corner of 12 Mile near Greenfield. The property is Gateway District, so that means that the convenience store aspect is a permitted use, but the gas station is only permitted through special use approval. I'm just going to do an overview of some notable aspects of the plans. If I gloss over something, it's because they're in full compliance and you've probably already read the report, so I'm not going to belabor the point. All of the surrounding properties are either retail except for the property to the east, which is single family, and then the properties to the north, which are also single family. The applicant is essentially proposing to build on the same, to build on the same-ish footprint of where the existing buildings are and maintain the existing driveways, but with some slight modifications. There is a trash enclosure. It's about 100 square feet. It's south of the entrance on Elwood Avenue. This is technically in the side yard, and trash enclosures are only permitted in the rear yard. The applicant indicated that they are going to seek a variance from the ZBA for this, but that is currently non-compliant with the zoning ordinance standards. The proposed parking is 3 over the requirement, so they comply there, and there's some excess that they could theoretically play with by removing. The customer access is primarily from the west entrance and also from the south along 12 Mile. The primary entrance is the one that faces the parking and the gas and the fuel canopies on the west side of the building there. So the driveways They're gonna maintain full movement on the two driveways on the east side, so on Elwood and on the east side of 12 Mile. But they wanna do modifications for the other two driveways that are on the west side. They want right turn only egress and then full movement ingress. Right turn egress, full movement ingress. There is a driveway on the western part of the 12 Mile Road portion of the property that is going to be relocated to the east about 20 feet, and that'll make it 62-ish feet from the property line, the property corner, really. There's also mountable curbs there that are gonna like help direct that, right only ingress, or right only egress. There is a bus stop on the northwest corner, and they did add a bench and a trash receptacle to sort of do some activation for that public area there. There's an existing bus stop sign there. That's the only thing that's right now. So they're adding a bench and then the trash receptacle. So that's good. There is landscaping proposed. First screening. There is an existing wall on the north property line. So between the neighboring single-family residences and the subject property. And the ordinance does require a 6-foot wall in height when it's bordering residential. And it's been going back and forth. The latest iteration of our review doesn't have the update that Kristen has, which is that the wall is pretty much good to go. So it's compliant with the ordinance standards. It steps down in the front yard, and the building department said that it's in good condition to meet that requirement. For the landscaping, they're proposing 20 evergreen trees around the trash enclosure and a deciduous street tree along 12 Mile. There's also about 38 shrubs of deciduous and evergreen. In the zoning ordinance, and I should say, this was submitted before the current zoning ordinance was adopted. So hopefully you all have copies of the old zoning ordinance if you want to look back. If not, ask us for clarifying questions. We could look it up. We got copies of the old ordinance right here.
Yeah, as an aside, real quick,
Yes.
I tried to look online today and Municode, and I was like, oh.
It's not available.
So
Yeah.
I did just email that to everyone, a PDF of the old ordinance, just so you have it.
Sorry.
No, she also emailed it to me, so. So the downtown design guidelines do encourage activating the public street to improve pedestrian connections, and this particularly pertains to the frontage along 12 Mile. So we definitely recommend additional street trees. That intersection is pretty sparse when it comes to canopy coverage, and the ordinance does enable you all to ask for additional street trees along 12 Mile there. So we would absolutely encourage that. In a moment, I'm going to get to one of the driveways, so put a pin in that because it comes up in the special use provisions. They are proposing a series of lights, as you would expect, sconces along the building, recessed lighting under the canopy, and then there's 3 pole-mounted lights that are in the parking lot along that northern property line. They comply with the ordinance, but we really recommend that they do wall-mounted lights instead because there's single-family residences right there, and these lights are mounted at 15 feet. Downward directed, okay, but the wall isn't gonna block that light really. They are proposing 1 bicycle hoop for 2 bicycles, or as many as people can fit there. I've seen, up to 6. People make it work. For the floor plans and the elevations, there's a lot of facade articulation. It's primarily masonry. There's also fiber cement board, and then they've got aluminum framing and windows. There are transparency requirements that apply to the south elevation. And it's that it has to be between 40 and 80%, and that is a zoning ordinance requirement. Right now, the south facade only has 8.9% transparency. However, the west facade, which is right now, planned as the primary entrance, the one that faces the fuel canopy, that one has 43.7. Well, this standard doesn't apply to the west one, so we are recommending, not only for the transparency requirement, but also for the activation, the really improving the pedestrian connections, to rotate the building 90 degrees so that primary entrance, that really nice facade, is facing 12 Mile as the ordinance really requires. They did, in the latest iteration of the plans, they did add a pedestrian entrance on the south elevation where there wasn't one before, so there technically is an entrance, but it's not the primary one. There are two different special use standards that this has to be assessed through. The automobile service station one, and then the general special use standards. For the automobile service station standards, there's not a whole lot of discretion. In our report, we assess that all the standards are met except for number 4. And that's the one that talks about the points of entrance for vehicles. So remember that pin I said to put in for the driveway? We're taking it out now. This requirement says that a driveway cannot be closer than 30 feet from an intersection. And this one's 22.4 feet. They've got 3 other driveways. We're recommending just removing this entirely. This is an ordinance standard. There's not really discretion here at all. The only leeway would be to go to the ZBA for a variance. I don't know if that's necessary, because there's a lot of other points of entry. And also, that could be replaced with some nice landscaping, because it's a long 12-mile road. All the other standards for automobile service station as a special use are met, though. For the general special use considerations, there is discretion. So we offer some suggested findings in our report, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but I think you all will probably discuss them as you go through the standards before making any decision. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So just as a record, what we're going to do now is we're going to ask questions of staff, then I'll open it up for the applicant to come talk, then I'll open up the public hearing, and then we'll discuss.
Yes. So the reason it has 4 access points is because it had 4 parcels? It was always one parcel? How did they get 4 access points?
There's 3 parcels, and there's 4 access points, 1 on each of the 2 side streets, and then 2 along 12 Mile.
Okay, so they're gonna combine.
Right.
So it will be one parcel with 4 access points.
Right.
But because it's pre-existing, there's nothing that can be done to require elimination.
No, because it's special use standards.
I understand. And then you talked about landscaping along 12 Mile. How does that happen when the building fronts right up on the sidewalk?
Well, there's an area, hold on, I wrote about it. First of all, if they close off that
access
entrance,
drive.
they've got some room to play there. There's also another portion where there's some room to put in additional landscaping.
Sorry, I didn't
Where
mean
they-
to put you on
No,
the spot.
no,
but I
I-
looked at this, I'm looking at an aerial and I just don't see where, yeah, we'd love that, but.
No, I was looking at this earlier today as well. There's a area for design that has pavement between the bicycle parking and the building. And the pavement's not really doing much there, so we thought that could also be replaced with some greenery. And, I agree, it's not great to shove street trees necessarily, but there's other types of, they could do shrubs instead, just to
Green it a little.
Yes, green it up.
And then my last question for now is, we've received some comments about, these renovations potentially exacerbating an already problematic intersection traffic-wise. Do we have any indications from any of our consultants as to whether closing that driveway along 12 Mile would assist in alleviating those concerns?
So HRC didn't look at that specifically, that's our engineering consultant. But I would say it would be, as Michelle's recommending, good practice to close this driveway here. It's close to the intersection. I don't know that if it was currently not there, that the road commission, who's in charge of 12 Mile, would allow something that close to the intersection.
And just to clarify, so because it's a gas station, it's like the special land use, normal ones that we have to go through, plus those ones that are not negotiable, right? So it's like special land use plus. So the fact that that driveway is there in that non-negotiable area is a problem. As far as us even being, like, we have to say that
Right.
has to be closed.
Right.
Or
Or-
something
Or
to vary.
conditioned
Or-
upon, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no discretion afforded to the planning commission for this one.
Okay. And do we have an explanation as to why that is important? Why it should be closed that close to the intersection? Like the theory behind that, why that like might apply to safety or,
So if you look here at 12 Mile Road, you can see the left turn lane here approaching the intersection that's marked. So if I were to say I'm going to enter off of Greenfield, make a right turn, and I'm going to turn left into this gas station, and there's someone that's entering the left-hand turn lane right where they should be entering the left-hand turn lane, now you've got a conflict between this person turning right and wanting to turn left into the gas station, and this person entering the left-hand turn lane.
perfect, okay, that makes sense.
You're missing your traffic planner. You've got Commissioner Arnsman. I don't know if he has anything to add.
No, you're.
All right, does anybody else have any questions for staff? Okay, I'm going to invite the applicants come up if they want to say anything additional.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Eric Williams with Stonefield Engineering and Design, Huntington Woods, Michigan. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Kristen. I'm not going to go through my whole presentation. I think Michelle did a good job of covering really what we're here to speak about tonight. But we do have the applicant and owner, the Sheena family, in attendance. We also have the project architect, John Abro, if you guys do have additional questions beyond what I offer. So again, we are seeking to construct a 6,734 square foot restaurant convenience store with obviously the ancillary fuel use. We are seeking site plan approval and then a positive recommendation to City Council for the use itself. I'm not going to cover the existing conditions, but maybe a little bit of background about why we're here tonight, how we got to this point. So Mr. Jamil has been or is operating, and his family's operated the Mug and Jug liquor store, convenience store there for the past 40 years within the city. I know they've got great relationships with the neighbors. They know the city itself. They're within the community. Obviously, they're here operating every day. So if this project was approved, they would continue to operate this facility, obviously in an expanded nature, but continue to do what they're doing every day out there. And this really came to be because the Coney Island restaurant owner here is actually looking to retire at some point in the near future, and he actually presented the opportunity to purchase that property and expand the footprint. So this seemed like a great opportunity to redevelop a corner that honestly is a hodgepodge, right? You've got 3 properties, as Michelle mentioned, 3 different buildings that all kind of vary in, I don't know, design, age, really it's not cohesive. It's not overly attractive. I think everybody's been out there. I know we heard no landscaping. It's heavily paved. So I think this really seemed like a great opportunity to provide a cohesive development at this corner, at one of the gateways into the city, and provide a high quality service to the community. I think the other thing that is important is, this isn't just maybe a gas station like we've historically thought about, right? It's not just a kiosk-style store where you have your cigarettes, your tobacco, maybe some beer and wine, but they will actually have a restaurant within the space serving food. I think you guys have a great, actually it's just next door, right? The Coney, Mr. Kebab within the gas station. So not necessarily Mr. Kebab, but I think a similar concept where you could actually walk in, get hot food, and leave. And then it'll also have an expanded convenience offering. So obviously your everyday convenience items, but it would also offer things like eggs, milk, some of those perishables that you might not see in every gas station up and down the roadway. And then to maybe talk a little bit more about access, I know that seems to be one of the critical pieces, one of the big questions. So we've been working on this site for a number of months now. I think our initial application was made back in January. We've gone back and forth with Kristen and Michelle a couple of times. We've gone back and forth with HRC on the engineering side. And also in the background, we've been working closely with the Oakland County Road Commission. We've met with them on a handful of different occasions to really review what needs to happen at this intersection. Obviously, we can't fix all the problems, but we can try to improve them to the greatest extent possible. So as Michelle mentioned, we are seeking to keep all 4 driveways. The 2 driveways of concern from RCOC's point of view, so slightly different than the special land use criteria, but those were mainly the northwest. And Kristen, would you mind just scrolling up on the screen a little bit? Awesome, thank you. Maybe just starting in the northwest or top left corner of the plan. That driveway obviously exists today, generally the same location, not looking to move it. But what RCOC did ask is that we restrict the exit movement to right out only. So I'm sure you guys have seen it, maybe driving up and down Greenfield, people whip out in front of you, trying to find that gap in traffic. That's not going to be allowed anymore. They're going to have to take a right turn and continue north on Greenfield. You know, from a gas station standpoint, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of times when you're going to these stores, they're capturing the directional traffic, right? You're not going to sit and try to make a left-hand turn across Greenfield if every day you're going north and south, right? In the morning, if you're going northbound, you're going to go ahead, get your gas, get the convenience items you need, and continue back to the north. And then similarly along 12 Mile, you'd make that right-hand turn in and then make the same right-hand turn out to continue west. So again, this has already been reviewed and approved by RCOC. We'd be happy to share that correspondence with everybody. And then the other improvement that they did ask for was in the southwest corner, the driveway closest to the intersection of 12 Mile and Greenfield along 12 Mile. We will be reconstructing it, sliding it east, like Michelle mentioned, and then we're also going to provide, everybody likes using the word pork chop, right? So it'll have a raised curb island, essentially forcing people to only be able to make a right-hand turn in off of 12 Mile and a right-hand turn back out. So you won't be going all the way across the roadway to be able to then travel eastbound on 12 Mile, if that makes sense. And then I think the third point of access, I think from a zoning standpoint, probably more what we need to talk about tonight, is the southeast driveway. As I understand, I think the setback from the intersection of Elwood and 12 Mile, we don't currently meet that. Frankly, it's not met today. That driveway is there. It's been there. Thank you, Ryan. It's been there for, honestly, I don't know how long. When we talked to the county about it, they really had no objection to that driveway location. Obviously, Elwood is more of a residential street, right? The traffic volume is really not there. So that conflict in proximity to the roadway was not a concern of theirs. Their main concern was the Greenfield and 12 Mile intersection. So they felt that that driveway was actually safely located and appropriate. I think a few other things kind of come to mind when you talk about closing that. Number one would be driving additional traffic down Elwood. You know, obviously we have single-family residences to the northeast. We want to be considerate of what we're doing here. We can't be perfect, but trying to minimize the traffic on Elwood is one of the goals. So by maintaining that access onto 12 Mile, we feel that that's going to minimize any potential for additional traffic on Elwood. And then also, if you look at the parking configuration, you create this scenario where it's a dead-end parking situation. You know, best practice says don't do that, right? If somehow there's 7 cars parked there, somebody goes ahead and turns down that driveway, they have no way to exit. They can't reverse. I mean, actually their only option is to reverse, but again, it's not a safe maneuver. Or if you turn around and say, well, remove those 7 parking spaces, we then create a parking variance and we're deficient in terms of overall parking on site. So really our request is that the commission consider keeping that. I know that's not your decision. We will be submitting an application to the zoning board, but that is our intention at this point. We believe that with RCOC's blessing, you know, it should be left. Some of the zoning standards are often antiquated. I'm not sure if this is something that was changed within the new zoning code, but it is something that we would like to keep at this point in time. Additionally, I know Michelle mentioned lighting along the northern property line. So I think if you look at the lighting plan right now, there are light poles that are kind of along the northern row of 14 parking spaces. They face south. They are 15 feet in height. Obviously, the wall, I think, is only 6 feet in height, so there is a little bit of a difference there. But the one thing I would point out, and we're not saying we won't work with staff on maybe a revised lighting plan to address the concerns, but these lights will not be the floodlight style lights that you might see at a lot of older gas stations. They'll be full cutoff, mounted at 90 degrees. They'll have backlight shields. And I think if you actually look at the photometric plan that we presented, I think it's between 0.3 and 0.1 foot candles of trespass across this property line. That's negligible. It's basically zero at that level. So we don't believe there's a nuisance being created, but again, if that is Planning Commission's desire, we would be willing to work with staff on updating that lighting plan. And I guess just looking at the special land use criteria, not necessarily the use standards, but some of the broader terms. So the proposed use will promote the use of land in a socially and economically desirable manner. So in thinking about this and talking about it, self-service fuel has come a long ways in terms of environmental standards and safety. It's something that's actually not regulated at the local level. It's regulated by the state of Michigan. There's been tons and tons of improvements over the years of not having leaky tanks, making sure they're monitored and maintained. Even the tank construction itself has drastically improved. So obviously as a part of this project, if we were granted approval, we would continue through that permitting process with the state of Michigan. Everything would be constructed in full compliance with all of their regulations. I think in terms of economically desirable, again, this is a gateway into the city. This offers a great opportunity for a cohesive redevelopment of the property, and then obviously would improve the tax base at this particular location. The proposed use is necessary for the public convenience at that location. So kind of touched on that a little bit. I know the report outlined a few of the closest locations for that fuel component. Again, when we look at the directional traffic and who we think would be using this site, obviously there's the neighbors, the people that could walk to and from home, or however they might get to the site if it's biking or bus or otherwise. But again, looking at the nearest gas stations to us, they really don't offer that same expanded convenience that we have and that we hope to provide, along with having a restaurant within the store. They are those older, dated mobile sites to the south along Greenfield. And we really believe that this is a great addition to the community. I think the other thing that is obviously happening is the closing of drugstores. I think Rite Aid right in downtown recently closed and doesn't look like it's been backfilled at this point. And then obviously Walgreens kitty corner to us closed and relocated. So this, again, would provide an additional convenience for the local residents. The next criteria is proposed uses compatible with adjacent uses. Again, the size of this development really is consistent with the neighboring properties. It's not something that's meant to serve commercial diesel vehicles or anything like that. They're not able to access those pumps. This is really for your daily driving vehicles. And so we believe that is appropriate, and it obviously provides that convenience and service to the surrounding community. The proposed use is designed so that public health, safety, and welfare are protected. Again, touched on this earlier. This is something that we always need to consider, but from a permitting and regulation standpoint, this is something that will be handled by the state. They have very strict regulations. If we don't meet their criteria, there's not a project here. So that is something we would fully intend to do. And then the proposed use will not cause injury to other properties in the neighborhood. Again, this would be constructed in full compliance with all the applicable regulations. We don't believe that is a problem that we would see here. With that, if you have any questions on the architecture, I know John is here and can speak to some of that, or any of the property owners as well.
Thank you. Does anyone have a burning question at the moment, or should I open public hearing first? Lisa, I'm looking at you because you always have questions.
I'll wait.
Okay.
You said burning.
All right. This is a public hearing, yes? Okay. So it is 7:30, and I am going to open the public hearing. Once again, when you come to the microphone, state your name, city of residence, and you have 3 minutes. Ooh, can you control the timer? That's
There
way better
is-
than me, like, trying to look at the clock and guesstimating.
This doesn't look right.
It's a little one.
Is it this one?
Yeah, but I don't know which buttons it are. Ross gets to do it, not me. I think it's the upper left.
I do not know how to control.
Okay, I will just try and keep an eye on the clock.
I'll do a timer.
Do you want me to do?
Yes, okay, Lisa's gonna time. Thank you.
And I will find that out for next time.
Thank you. All right. So there's a lot of you here. Somebody's gotta wanna say something.
3 minutes, right? 3 minutes, Lindsay?
Yeah.
I think it's
William
like-
Seaman, 3461 Elwood, longtime resident of Mug and Jugs. I was there when they bought the store 40-some years ago. And I think actually this is probably a good idea, because with the business they have back there now, there's like 5 different businesses back there, which 2 of them are pretty decent. And the other ones, when you think about the Coney Island, open almost 24 hours a day. So what are you gonna get at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning? Is some undesirable people. Most of the people there, I'm sure, are good. But I would recommend this highly.
Thank you.
Good evening, Tyler Anderson. I live on Bacon in the city of Berkeley. My wife and I have been lifelong residents of Berkeley. When I talk about a community that's revolved around a liquor store, it sounds a little bit silly, but I'd like to point out that right now this is a liquor store, and there's a vast community of people. Everybody that I run into or speak with talks about Vinny at Mug and Jug, or the family that's been there for so long. So I think this is definitely something that, if expanded, could be a little bit more of a community relations than just a liquor store. I think they definitely deserve to be that. They've had their roots in our city for, again, 40-something years. It's definitely going to be a convenience factor for me. I live just about 4 blocks away. I drive past to go to work every day. Additionally, as the gentleman pointed out, the current Coney Island that's there, it is open late. I've been a police officer in the city of Southfield for about 10 years. We definitely get a lot of things that spill over from a Coney Island across the street, just from, again, the clientele that's sometimes there until late at the night. I know the family, they bring in good employees, they bring in good people. It's definitely a huge asset to our community to have them here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joseph Leo, Huntington Woods. I know Wally. Wally's like my much older, better-looking brother. Vinny's like my nephew. And I want to speak to how they maintain the building. I've been a licensed builder since 1990, have access to many, many contractors. And whenever there's a problem at the building, I get a call from either Wally or Vinny. Come on, I need, what was the last project, the chimney? Yeah, so we get it taken care of within a couple of days. They're good guys. I think it's a great idea. Wish them well.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andrew Decker, and I live about 4 blocks away from Mug and Jug as well in Berkeley. And when I moved here about 5 years ago, Wally and Vinny were the first 2 people to welcome me into my new city of Berkeley, and they've been great ever since. And they seem like really good business owners as well. I'm personally excited because I don't have anything directly close to me where I can stop, get gas, get something to eat on the way to work or wherever I'm going. So I really like this proposal, and I'm excited for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dawn Sylvester. I've been a Berkeley resident for 35 years, but I grew up in Southfield, so I've known Wally for a long time, and my husband has become really close with Vinny. And other than the fact that I think it's a great necessity for all of the factors, restaurant, gas station, convenience, the thing that I'm most excited about, my father was the architect that designed Somerset Mall, and he passed away a year and a half ago, and we used to drive up and down 12 Mile, and he would say, how can you put all this money into these homes and never make 12 Mile look any better? How can you not put greenery? How can you not make the storefronts and the facades look better? You know, it's like there should be something going on there. And my parents became friends with Sean and Kathy the Taylors, and my dad came in there, drew up ideas just for fun of what he thought the frontages of stores should look like in Berkley. So when my husband came home one day and said, you aren't going to believe what's possibly going to happen at Mug and Jug. And when he told me about the whole corner, this was just not, you know, this was a while ago, not that long ago, but my dad was still alive then, and my dad was like, I hope that gets the ball rolling, get 12 Mile looking beautiful and having things that people need. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Amanda House, and I'm here to voice my support for the Mug and Jug proposed expansion. I live in Royal Oak, and I currently live 0.2 miles from a liquor store. And depending on the route, I pass anywhere from 3 to 6 to shop at Mug and Jug. And why? In my personal opinion, it's more than just a store. It's a neighborhood institution that's built trust, loyalty, and community for over 40 years. It's not just the selection or the service, it's how personal it feels. Vince and the team know their customers, and they treat people like family and genuinely care about what they offer, and that's rare. It's why people like me travel out of our way to go there. It's not just a local business with a Berkley footprint either. It has regional reach. Mug and Jug has a combined following of over 5,000 people and nearly 800 society members and growing. That's not just impressive, it's a sign that they're bringing people, like me, into Berkley, introducing new patrons to this city and helping to grow the local economy. Their proposed expansion is thoughtful and exciting. Groceries, fast casual dining, fuel, beautification of an industrial space, and more to serve a growing customer base. This is about evolution, not change. They're not replacing the charm or the legacy that Mug and Jug has built, they're building upon it. This is exactly the kind of small business we should champion. Family-owned, rooted in the community, and committed to growing with integrity. I strongly support this plan, and I hope you will too.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Margaret Gifford. I'm a local resident of North Thomas. So I'm north of 12. I'm very close. I walk a lot. That one driveway you're arguing about, well, where it is now is worse because it's right on Greenfield. So moving it over makes sense. The one that's going to the Coney Island on 12 Mile. Okay, so I walk that a lot. Needs to be done. This is the best idea I've heard. Living over on Thomas, we feel forgotten, left alone. But this will bring Berkley to our corner. And that's what we need. Instead of going all the way downtown. Sounds like a long way, doesn't it? Just to get to the gas station or a gallon of milk. I'd rather walk 2 blocks, block and a half. But yes, this is highly needed. It would enhance the traffic, not hinder it, the way they've got it set up. The Coney Island driveway, I've never seen it cause problems unless people are pulling out. That's the only time. The bus stop, we need a bench there. I've stood and people are freezing when we stand there waiting for that bus. But yes, a garbage can is needed because, yeah, you'd be surprised what you find. No, this is the best idea I've heard. Been here for 25 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Kalorn O'Neill. I'm a Berkley resident, and I live directly across from the Mug and Jug on Elwood. And I'm here to show my support for the Jamil family Hey guys, I think this is a fabulous plan, and I wanted to echo my neighbors in support of the Jamil family, Wally and Vinny, because it is more about an expansion and a gas station. It is actually about community. There's something to be said about, the city of Berkeley has a lot of pride, a lot of civic pride. There's a lot of attention paid to 12-mile, the beautification of it. As you drive down now, there's flags, there's flowers. I believe that this project, this special land use, would actually extend that to make a very strong gateway into Berkeley, strictly because you're going to interface with the Jamil family as you walk through the door. Did I think I would be ever coming to a planning commission meeting going, yes, let's get a gas station in there? This is more about a gas station. This is more about community. And Vinny and Wally, the Jamil family, they're like family to us. They treat everyone that walks through the door like family, and I believe this would just be a win for Berkeley all the way. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Vincent. I live in Berkeley. I've trick-or-treated here since I was like 6, but I've lived here since I was 22. And I think just echoing what a lot of people have said about the project itself and how nice it is and what a refreshment to the area it is. I think the amount of detail, the amount of communication that's happened about the intention and what it's going to look like. When you hear things about making sure the garbage is hidden by trees, having a bench out front for people and a garbage can, and you can't solve all the problems with traffic, but hey, we can do a couple things to make it a little bit better. I think it's just obvious how much care and attention is getting put into it because of that sense of community, and I would fully support it as well.
Thank you.
Name's Jerry DeRocher, live on Gardner and Webster. Been a citizen of Berkeley since '72. I think this will just be an upgrade for Berkeley. I don't know much more what to say.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Sorry I got here a few minutes late, been working. Busy day. Anyhow, I'd like to state some things on behalf of...
Can you give us your name?
Oh, first name, Michael House. Longtime residents, 4 children. They all went to Berkeley schools, and as well as Berkeley High School.
Thank you.
And I'm here to support the Mug and Jug family. I look at it this way. They've been in this community for 43 years. They have supported this community for 43 years. It's time for us to support them. They need the support. Many, many years ago as a young man, I was a mechanic on the corner, kitty corner at the gas station that used to be there. So there's no gas station on that corner anymore. I talked to the family. They said they want to put in 2 or 3 charging stations for electric cars. That's very important. They're going to stay open until midnight, so if you need bread or you need milk for your family, you've got a lot of young families now that live in this community. So there's a great need for what they're going to do. And they're going to dress up the corner a little bit. So it's going to, I think there's plenty of room for all these gas stations with all the people and all the young families that have come into Berkeley. So it's going to be a plus for everybody. And I think it makes it a little safer too. To have everybody, especially in the community, be supportive. But what they've done is wonderful. 43 years of helping us, middle of the night you go there. And to be open to midnight is good. Everything closes. I mean, anymore you can't go anywhere, And we all have needs, and it's a 24-hour world that we live in. But I'm 100% in support of them. I know what they've done, and they're going to do another beautiful job. So we need to be there for them. All right, sorry I got here a little bit late.
That's okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Michael Mormon. I've been direct neighbors with Vinny for probably since 2019. They've always been really good neighbors and excuse me, ran a really good business over there. And then when Vinny was telling me about this opportunity a few months ago, I thought it was really exciting. And just from a perspective of being a direct neighbor, I 100% support this. I think it'll really enhance our area and checks a lot of boxes from a convenience standpoint. So totally support it.
Thank you.
Hello, Robert Shand. I live on Thomas Avenue. Lived here over 30 years. Known these guys a long time. He was my landlord for a while. I rented one of those small buildings, it was great for a while. But I think the main thing here is that this is the family. You can see the support. That's why this is going to be a great project, because the Jamil family is going to be there for a long time, probably longer than me. So, as you can see, this is very much supported by the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Gaines, Southfield, Fairfax Street. Known Vinny and the Jamil family maybe 11 years now. Came into the community, dropped by many liquor stores, and but they made me feel welcome. Always can come in there, strike a conversation, and just make you feel welcome. I know they do good things for the community. This is a great project, and I'm fully supportive.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Kathy DeRocher. I went to Berkeley High, went to all the grade schools, and Mug and Jug have always been here, and we try to support them, and we want them to do good, and I think it would be a wonderful gift to Berkeley if they can do what they want to do to make Berkeley better.
Thank you. Going once? Going twice? All right, we do have some emails, yes? Put on the old lady glasses. Let's see, Marge Gifford, your new expansion is exactly what our neighborhood needs. Devon Shamu, lives a few houses away, fully supports it, is excited and looking forward to it. Michael Moman, property owner on Elwood, 2 houses north, fully supports it, believes it would be a great asset. Daniel Terry, resident of Berkeley, supports it, thinks it's a perfect addition for commuters coming to and from Berkeley, Royal Oak, and Beverly Hills. Mitchell Weiss also supports it and thinks it's a good idea. Oh, wait, there's another one. Mark Penska, I'm horrible with names, so I'm sorry, is also in support of it. And then we have one from David Miller, who strongly opposes it. Traffic is already overwhelmed on that corner. Adding a gas station will only make it worse. And there are gas stations less than a mile away in either direction. Does it seem like I got them all, Kristen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so with that, I will give you one more chance. Does anybody else want to come up and talk? All right, I am closing the public hearing at 7:50. Okay, Lisa, go.
Thank you. I just have a question, I guess first for Kristen and then possibly to the applicant. At the beginning, some of the comments that we heard seemed more excitement that the Coney Island, the 24-hour Coney Island will go away with this project. But there's still gonna be a restaurant. Is there anything in our ordinance that would prohibit a 24-hour restaurant bringing the same issues back to the residents that expressed concern about the current setup?
I don't believe so.
I don't believe so. No.
And so I guess then to the applicant, do you know why people are getting the impression that it won't be a 24-hour restaurant? What are your intentions?
I guess we have no intentions to operate 24/7. I think you heard from some of the residents, midnight is typically the closing hour. So right now, hours are scheduled to be 6 to midnight. The restaurant may have separate hours depending on who ends up operating that. I don't think we have a tenant solidified yet, but there's no intention of operating 24/7.
Okay, thank you.
And we'd commit to it in writing too, if that would make you more comfortable. But
I didn't want to tie your hands to that at the meeting, and I don't know how the rest of my board members think, but.
I think the one thing I'd say is you've heard all the public feedback. They've been great neighbors. I don't think the last thing they want to do is upset the neighborhood and lose business. So I think the intention is obviously to operate in good faith, but.
Clearly, we've heard from a number of people, and the only negative comment that I could glean from it is the 24-hour Coney, which is going to go away. So I just wanted to explore that concern.
Of course.
Does anybody else have questions?
I've got maybe two for the applicants, just in regards to what we talked about earlier. I think one of the comments was possibly turning the building. Is that something that y'all are opposed to, able to do, or is that?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges is obviously Metro Detroit relies on vehicles heavily. I think if you look at the architecture, and John can speak to the details of it, he did make an attempt to dress up that 12-mile elevation to make it look more like a front of a building. But at the end of the day, the vast majority of customers are going to park and they're going to walk in from a parking space. So I think to rotate the building along 12 Mile is, from a business standpoint, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Okay. And then the other question is in regards to that driveway near Greenfield on 12 Mile. Is that something, are y'all opposed to closing that off, or is that something y'all are willing to do?
We're not willing to close it off.
Okay.
I think we've already made the concession with the road commission to restrict the movement to right in, right out, which should be a vast improvement to what it is today.
Okay.
So I want to, you have something to say first?
It might be what you're about to say.
So I guess I want to push that. Like, I don't know that it necessarily needs a 90% or 90-degree rotating, but the 12 Mile needs something, right? While we have given waivers before for transparency, not from 40 to 8. Like, that's huge. And this is the corner, and 12 is our downtown. So personally, I feel like something has to happen on that south elevation to make it feel active, make it feel, add transparency. It needs something over there.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I clarify something about the driveways? It's the one on the southeast corner along 12 Mile, the one that's closest to Elwood, is the one that's too close to the corner per the automobile service station standards. Not the one on the southwest.
Not the one by, yeah.
Perhaps, by your nods, it looks like you knew that, but just wanted to clarify.
I just have a clarification question on that. Is that because there's two access points there? If there wasn't one in the southwest, then that, I guess I really don't understand that, because it's just one in the southwest is so close to the intersection.
It's the rule per the ordinance is that it can't be closer than 30 feet. So yes, it's a busier intersection over, at 12 Mile and Greenfield, but the one is on the southeast is closer to Elwood, to that intersection there.
Within the 30 feet.
Right, 26 point
The L1
something.
is dimensioned, so if you look in the corner there, it's dimensioned like 26 point something feet. So that's within the 30 feet of the intersection.
Okay, I think you're going to respond to the transparency, yes?
It's okay. Hi, good everyone. My name is John Abro, ADG Design Studio. We're the design firm for the project. So I believe this is the recent, right, Eric, the elevation they have on file. Because the reason I mentioned it, because you guys mentioned about not the same look from the west to the south, correct? So the plans I have in front of me, we do have the same two elements of the facade. Only difference is that one is in the center of the building off of from the west side of, let's go to the elevate. Let's go to the drawing. It's labeled elevations A-2.1. So I want to make a comment about the facade. So the south elevation does have two elements. South elevation.
It's the top one.
So south elevation does, so the south elevation goes towards the top of the sheet. Does have two elements on both corners. Both have high glass, the high-end materials that are proposed here, and the center brick wall. Of course, guys, there is function. So I know we want the facade to look a certain way, but obviously the facade design is so that it is helping the interior floor plan itself. So behind the brick wall, we obviously have shelving or a cooler that we're looking to propose in the floor plan. But again, the elevation. We have the brick sill, the kind of the skirt of the building itself, and we have the vertical control joint. So it's not just one continuous material of a wall. There's vertical and horizontal design elements. And again, the west elevation, again, these are very similar designs, except one, the facade on the west has a center point entrance and different than the south elevation. So they're very similar. In regards of the transparency, so actually my office was the one that designed the aquatots on Coolidge. Getting a lot of pushback from customers, clients of all those businesses, not just one of aquatots, all the businesses, because there's the effect of the subtleness of, the kids are going to aquatots. The parents feel that their kids are exposed to Coolidge, especially 6 months out of the year, guys, where it gets dark at 4 or 5 o'clock in the winter times, in the fall times. Parents kind of feel a little weird about that. I'm not sure if some of you guys were on the board here when you guys were asking about more of the glass glazing. And to be honest with you, what's there currently right now, it's still too much. So again, I believe the one sheet we had here did have the glazing calculations. As much as it's nice to have glazing along main roads, it doesn't always work for businesses. Again, these are businesses, So I'm not sure if that helped out with the glazing or at least the transparency aspect of it on those items.
So I guess my question is that, so from the applicant's perspective, this is what we get, period, end of story. No additional transparency, no rotating. This is what we are working with, period.
In a kind way. I mean, they're not.
I'm not judging it. I'm just asking for clarification.
It does not work that way. Just like how gas, it's a dive-in effect of all gas stations. As we don't live in LA, we don't live in Miami. There has to be a little bit, from a gas canopy perspective, to the edge of the door itself. I don't suggest you guys to build a large, massive canopy over the whole entire park line, back what you probably saw in the 70s and 80s. That look is no longer available. So this is it's the best fit for both a zero lot line design with a park line in the rear, park on the sides, and a gas canopy. So, and the materials. Guys, I didn't cheapen the product of the facade. The south elevation and the west, north, and south all have the same material, same design elements of the metal panel, just like you guys see the aquatots on Coolidge. Not one facade was cheapened or different material being used. So,
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
What's the minimum transparency that?
40 to 80 along
40 to
12
80.
Mile.
Okay.
What's existing?
I'd have to look it up. I don't know if that would be readily available. It would be a guess.
For the south elevation, the windows on the far right would look into the beer cave. Am I reading that right? So those are essentially just darkened windows.
They're tinted, yeah.
Yeah.
Spandrel glass, correct.
And then in the front, it looks like there's a couple of shelving units in the front, which is typical of gas stations. There's usually a plethora of stuff in front of the windows.
So yes and no. It's not gonna be shelving where you have Sam's Club bulk food in front of it. It's actually gonna be tasteful in a way where that's the service counter entry into it. So it's inviting from both 12 Mile and the west end of the building. So because of the doors. So that's kind of the interaction of the customers kind of coming in. So
Okay.
when you said shelving, I just kind of want to make sure that it's not high, massive shelving.
Do you have the branding for the canopy, the gas station? I guess, do you guys have the gas company that you would be working with?
Looks like they're still in the works of it.
Yeah, we
But it's a
have
major company, obviously.
One of the major flags, BP,
Yeah.
Shell, Mobil, Exxon.
Okay.
And those companies dictate, again, guys, these are standard three, we just got approval, Eric and I, just 2 weeks ago in the city of Troy, which is another great project that we presented for one of our clients. Again, it's a 3-foot band. Again, these are nice new canopies now, right? They have very kind of a cool LED lighting to it, very tasteful design to it. Of course, graphics, branding is very important to a lot of these suppliers. If you don't have that, you don't get the pricing or you don't get the supply to your store, so.
Sure.
Kristen, please help me. I am trying to look at a street view of the current. I suck at this. I've been playing with it. for a while.
Okay, so here's the Mug and Jug here. And then you've got these businesses in between. And then there's the Coney Island there.
Seems like a decrease in transparency.
I was gonna say it feels like a
looks like
decrease,
it,
yeah.
I mean, depending on how much is on either side, but at least it's spread out now, so it doesn't feel as
Warehousey.
warehousey. Thank you.
There's a fairness, guys. I mean, these are 3 individual buildings. So, of course, if you're going to have 3 or 4 individual buildings, you're going to have an entrance door. You're going to have this. But also, let's be fair, is that the square footage of the facade is largely increased because of the new structure design. So, looking at this photo, Google Earth, yes, the glass may look like it's overpowering just because these are lower glass. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It looks like 8 or 9 feet. I mean, we have 12-foot glass windows here. Open ceiling design.
Can I make one suggestion? I don't know if the applicant would entertain it, and it just came to mind, so we haven't talked about this. But would the commission be interested in maybe asking about some mural or public art in that large expanse of brick there as a way to liven up the facade a little bit?
I thought about that, but that's all brick, right?
It is, so the materials would have to change a little bit.
Well, but also, there has to be something that can be done. I mean, I put a covered porch on my house. My house was plain, nothing. That covered porch, just a little bit of that depth made a huge difference in how it looked. So is there anything that can be done that could add maybe some depth to the front there to give it?
They're right on the.
Depth, in regards of maybe doing additional horizontal band of another brick color or something of that nature.
Something to dress it up a little.
We can actually place it the same height of the glazing So as it appears that, you have those, horizontal lines of the glazing kind of keep, continuing on to the brick itself, yeah. We don't want to depth, you're more from a design perspective, not actual depth of okay.
Just appearance.
Yeah.
Just so it does, because right now, that looks so stark and huge. And anything that you can do to.
And I get that it won't be the primary entrance. 1000% get, while the primary entrance has to be on Greenfield. But one of those things that our design guidelines really focuses on is making sure that what our buildings feel activated, and this does not feel activated along 12 Mile at all. And so that's what I'm really struggling with, right? I'm sure there's a plethora of things that you can do to activate it. I don't want to dictate what that should be, but I can say that it's not activated right now. And that's one of those things I'm super struggling with that.
Sure. Well, can we?
John, can you duplicate the frontage on the side?
Well, no, that's right. Again, I want to be clear. It is. It just.
Just in different ways?
It's just different ways. It's center point rather than the end. But let's add. I can go back to the design board and actually add additional the bands. Those always help out. And I get it, guys. You guys are sitting here. This is black and white, and I get it. If I was showing you these plans, or other projects that we've done, it looks like a solid wall. It's hard for me to tell you, looking at horizontal lines, vertical lines, it will not look like a solid wall. But again, let me add additional bands. And I'm sure artwork, there's a lot of times you see those metal screens and some kind of vegetation that kind of helps breaks up the wall. But will that affect any approvals today if that was something we work with the design or with the city itself?
No, I mean, at least from my perspective, we're being asked to deviate from the transparency provision of our ordinance, right? We're being asked to deviate for it, and if we had a design that added something more than the way it looks right there, it would be so much easier for me to say, yeah, it doesn't meet the transparency, but it looks good. Personally, I would be comfortable deferring to administration, looking at the design. I don't know about the rest of my partners up here, but I definitely would want something more, and I don't know if Kristen would be comfortable taking that on if we did it subject to review of administration, but.
Sure. I mean, I would want to see it.
Yeah, I would like to see it too. Generally, it's a great, it seems like a great plan, but I feel you on the activation of the 12 Mile. It's 12 Mile, it's, it shouldn't just look like a brick wall with.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that everybody was like, yes, this is going to activate that area. And that's what we want, right? We want this to be successful. We want everybody to come by and go, yeah, right? This is awesome as we're driving into Berkley, right? So I don't want I also just want to say I've never had this many people in the audience all in favor of something. So that's amazingly impressive. So I'm not saying that this is a bad idea or that we don't want it. I'm just saying that we want it to be the best it can be for us and for you.
And if, from my perspective, I think the extra scrutiny is due to the fact that it is in the downtown district. It's a gateway part of the district. So yeah, we want to make sure that it I don't know, goes above and beyond, or at least meets the design standards as was laid out within our downtown district.
So I have a question. So are you referring to with additional glazing that is spandrel glass, same thing as tinted is not, these are not actually just a film, it's actually in the part of the glass. Along south elevation, would that, if we discuss additional areas, would that give it approval or recommendation? I'll tell you why. So the owners don't have an exact branding company they're working with, but every company has so many contracts they're willing to give you. We're already June 1st now, and I want to put too much pressure, but if we delay this another 30 days, they might not have get approvals on their contracts for either one of the companies they're working with. That it's gonna it will go. Every company has so much they give out a year. If they lose that, because we're in June and by the plants get started, they might lose it entirely, and I don't know if that's next year spring with So I'm not sure if it's something we can discuss now, either adding additional glazing or working with the planning team, or.
You're, can I?
Yeah.
You're suggesting adding additional glazing in that area that we're concerned about?
Correct. The area we're talking about is the, as you mentioned, the continuous brick and then the block on the skirt, yes. So somewhere in that area, but not only that, again, adding maybe a band as well, in my opinion, a little above. So it's not just adding the glass, actually adding the band itself.
So
I'm not talking about continuous glass. No, it's going to be a portion glass. It can't be adding entire glass. I mean, again, I like things to break up a little bit more. So
when you say glazing, help me understand.
glass,
Oh, so it is going to be glass.
spandrel glass, meaning that it's going to have that black film to it.
So it wouldn't be transparent. It'd
So
be
it wouldn't
completely,
satisfy the requirements under the
it would be
ordinance.
opaque.
It's too hard. We can't get there. It's physically impossible adding.
My gut, and again, I am one of us, right? My gut says you can do something with that. I don't want to tell you what that needs to be, right? But I'm hoping that we're clear that this is not activated. Maybe that's a mural. Maybe that's a living wall. Maybe that's more transparent windows. But it needs to be activated.
But he's suggesting trying to accommodate the concerns of the commission right now so that he can get approval. And by offering alternatives to the plan sitting here now, is it possible to get a vote today, is what he's asking.
Is there a way that there can be an approval contingent on, like, coming back and getting the okay on the south facade? No. Okay.
Got a question. Are we talking about design features or transparency?
I think
I think they go together, right? What we're talking about
Well,
is
no.
an activation on there. We would like it to be transparent,
It
but we are
can't.
flexible for it to be something.
It
that-
could be either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good way of putting it. We're flexible. Technically, the ordinance requires transparency, but
Understood.
we can waive that if we're comfortable with the design.
The owner said they're okay with some adding design elements, materials or additional glazing, but it cannot be transparent. I mean, guys, these owners they're on a peninsula. I mean, it's really hard. They can't function. They can't spend $1 million or $100 million if they don't have a store that functions properly. And that's so we can work with the design, adding different features. It just can't be transparent.
So, and I think the commission's recognizing that you're in a tough spot because of the zero setback. And I think they're willing to look at options that would add some art to the building or something that would provide either some illusion of depth or some color, something to dress up that portion in the middle. Something to think about too. I don't know how much experience you have. I know that can be a little bit pricey, but the living wall idea would also add landscaping.
We've done that.
It would add landscaping to the site in this area too, which is something else that has been pointed out as lacking.
So Maple and Telegraph, what Maple and Telegraph stores? Which stores? Yeah, Maple and Telegraph in Bloomfield. We added a living green wall. Obviously, it takes a couple of years but now if you guys drive by it, it's working pretty well. It kind of, and they also they also maintain it, which is also very important. So they actually do maintain it. It's not easy, it's not hard, but yeah, we can definitely do that. But again, we can still add those other. I'm not looking just to add one component. We can add the band, add a small area of the glazing that is spandrel glass, and maybe there can be again, I just want to make sure I'm designing it correctly. So maybe there's on both corners, on both ends, we do the living wall, and the center could be another area for glazing. That makes sense. So actually, let's put the glazing in the center rather than separating all of them at the end. So we put additional glazing in the center, additional glass at the center of the. Let's do this right here. Let me show you guys. So we get the same.
Can I interrupt you for?
Wait, can you grab the microphone?
They need to hear you.
I thought I was loud enough. Okay, so adding additional glazing in the center here, okay, and the two living walls can be on both ends. So it's not everything's being tucked on one end, one being more dominant than the other. So it'll kind of be a center balanced facade. So center point here, again, guys, it could be, I think these are 12 to 14 feet give and take, so something that nature as well. And then we'll put the 2 living walls on either end. Again, living walls are an art form, so.
Generally, it's, well, would you pull the brick part of the wall back a little bit off the sidewalk so you have room for a living wall? Because it's straight across there, except for like the bump outs.
Correct. So no, we'll still be straight. Well, the living wall, guys, is only a 3 or 4 inch depth. It's not a.
Yeah, but you're right on the.
Yeah, we're on
you're
0.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not a. You're not talking about a 12 to 14 inches. It's literally a frame, a great frame, like a, not a chrome, but it's a galvanized material, like a fence link type style. Yeah, it's only a 4 inch depth, guys. It's actually there. The lighting has probably deeper, has more of a depth than the actual living wall.
So you're saying the 2 ends are going to stay the same, then we'll have a glass in the middle and living walls on the 2 panels next to that, right?
And guys, the ends are great. They actually return the corner on the facade. This is not just one. Yeah, okay, I didn't know if that was like a.
I'm just making
dig
sure that
or, I didn't know if it was a positive or.
That we're all.
Can I interject for a second?
Please do.
So this is RCOC's right-of-way. So if you guys were to move forward with that, it could be conditioned upon RCOC not having any issue with the 3 or 4 inches of the living wall protruding into their right-of-way, or otherwise, the applicant could consider maybe recessing at those 3 or 4 inches.
That walk's like 5 foot wide right there, though, isn't it?
They are
I mean,
thinner
it's like.
in that area.
So perhaps that area could be slightly recessed.
Yeah, it seems like you'd have to recess the building a little bit.
Well, Eric, technically, is the building actually on the right? Or is it actually usually you set back an inch or 2?
Sure. Yeah. Typically try to give it a few inches. I think on paper it looks like 0, but typically for foundations, construction, everything else, we do try to provide some flexibility.
I could live with that. Does anybody else have comments or questions about that? The transparency, wall, facade.
Should we talk about the southeast drive, or is that, so for clarity, we can talk about it, but they have to go to ZBA if they want to keep it?
There's no point in us even talking about it, other than to say, if we're approving, it has to be subject to them getting that variance, because they're not taking it out.
It would have to be subject to, however you think it comes into play as far as the special land use is concerned with traffic impacts or something like that. You could talk about it in that space, but any approvals you make, if they're unwilling to remove it, have to be subject to.
Yeah.
So for that and the trash can, we go under the assumption that right now they're not moving, provided CBA agrees to that.
You know that you put yourself in a box there, though, right? Like, if we approve subject to ZBA approval and you don't get ZBA approval, you don't have approval from us, right?
They understand that.
And what does that look like? Then do they have to re-go through this whole process again? If they were going to make said changes, would they have to start the process all over again?
Well, not at the very beginning, because we've already done so much review, but.
They'd come back.
Yeah.
Would it be another special, another public hearing in the?
Yes, it'd be a reapplication also through the lens of the existing zoning ordinance.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
What changes?
Landscaping.
For this,
the biggest one, probably.
Yeah.
The provision that the driveway can't be there.
The driveway wouldn't be there. They would probably be more landscaping demands with the new
Yes.
ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, what else? The lights. Said we were willing to work with lights on the back, the north wall instead of the pole, or?
Yes.
Okay. How do we feel about that?
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Would we prefer them on the back wall, or do we care?
I guess in terms of placing them on the screen wall, we would rather not do that. It's only 6 feet tall, so you're gonna have a light at my height. It's not gonna do anything. So I think we would rather relocate the poles away from the property line to give more of a buffer, but make sure that there's adequate light in those parking spaces, if that makes sense. So they'd be probably about 25 feet further from the property line than presented on the plans right now.
Staff, how do we feel about that? Does that feel like that helps relieve the,
So they'd have to make the changes, and then we'd have to look at the photometric plan again to see how things shake out.
But that's done administratively. I have no issue with that.
I have no issue with that either. As long as, you know, like, as long as it's got the cutoff shields and not over exceeding the light intensity at the property line is fine. Is it, do you guys not wanna move the dumpster because of the overhead lines in the back?
Yeah, this site is actually interesting. We do have the overhead lines that you picked up on, and then if you actually look at the utility plan, there is a sanitary sewer that is owned by the city that runs through the property right now that we're actually proposing to relocate. So just the amount of utilities that crisscross the property make it challenging.
Sure.
And then obviously the other piece is truck access. That seemed like a good spot to put it so they could get on and off the site very easily.
Eric, did you mention, so the trash enclosure will be the same materials as the facade? So that helps. I mean, this is not gonna be some random, concrete form. I believe what is the requirement for Berkley in regards to the trash enclosure? Is it same materials or is it not requested or not mentioned?
There's height standards, but not material.
Material?
In the old ordinances, right, no materials are mentioned. Moving forward, we're looking for them to match the building, so that would be the preference.
Moving forward in this new ordinance or?
In the new ordinance.
Okay, well, we
You
set
are
we set a standard for you guys now, so yeah, it'll be the same material, and we always do a nice, precast stone on top of it as a top, coping. And I believe our heights are what, Eric? 7 or 6 feet? 6 feet, yeah. See, 6 is good, you don't want something too dominant, but.
Is that the screen wall? Are you talking about the screen wall?
The
dumpster
trash enclosure.
Oh, the dumpster.
and we have decided the screen wall is good to go now, right? It is everything it needs to be?
Yes.
Even though it says they measured it at 64 inches, not 72.
So I think they're gonna still add to the top of it, but it's in a
Okay.
condition that can be done.
The
It steps
condition,
down
okay.
appropriately at the property line.
Okay.
Do we need to add that as a condition?
You should add as a condition to your, any motions you make for approval, that all the conditions in the staffing consultant review letters be addressed, and that would be picked up
Cover all
there.
the bases, yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're no longer relevant, then it just wouldn't matter. They would have been addressed.
What else am I seeing in here? Street trees slash landscaping. I think having a living wall helps with the landscaping.
Yeah, for sure.
I would recommend if you're going to permit a living wall in lieu of, the facade articulation, to specify a minimum area. The transparency on the south elevation right now, I think it was 158 square feet, just as a point of reference. Because if that would be reviewed administratively, it'd be nice to have a.
Well, I think he
basis.
indicated for the glazing 12 to 14. I wrote that down.
12 to 14 the width, and then, or 12 by 14.
No, 12 to 14 width.
Correct.
Okay. And then height to match the existing.
Yes, at the 12-foot height, yeah.
Great.
Did he say 12 for height?
Well, yeah, 12 is the height of the top of the glazing, correct. So it will start at, I think, the 2-foot mark. So it will kind of balance like the rest of them with the skirt in a sense, or base. So start at 12 foot in. So it's basically 10-foot height in a sense.
What are you thinking the living walls on either end approximately?
Guys, they're usually 10 feet, 10, 12 feet wide. They're not, they're not small. It's
10 by 10-ish minimum? Give me a minimum number.
10 by 8.
Minimum.
8-foot height.
Would it be
On each
similar to
side.
the Telegraph in Maple? It's that gas station there, right?
Yes.
On the northwest corner?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you want to maintain them, guys, we don't want this thing to go over, it just.
Right.
We're just trying to give guidance to
Absolutely. Yeah.
administration who's gonna review it if we go that route. So just
Yeah,
some minimum
8-foot height
numbers.
is great. It's not 8-foot height. It starts at 2-foot base, so it's kind of gives it its little height.
Did I do my math right? If the living walls are 10 by 8 and we have 2 of them, that's like 160 square feet.
Yep. Plus the third glazing.
That's the
So
additional.
10 by
glazing.
12, 120 square feet, so 300 total additional.
Do we have to have that in the motion, or just having your notes on it good enough?
I think it needs to go in the
The numbers too.
Otherwise, when it's reviewed administratively.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some.
But we'll say approximately, so you've got some wiggle room if it's off a
Please
little.
do.
Can I come back to one issue?
Yeah.
I want to know if anybody on the planning commission has any concerns with hours of operation. Since this is a special land use, we do have the ability to regulate if we feel it's necessary.
Guys, you guys don't want that. Rite Aids are closing down. CVS, they'll all be closing down very soon. They're closing these companies down. So there's no places to go to get bread, milk, and not only that,
I'm
they're
thinking
actually
about kids leaving the bar, going somewhere to hang out after everything closes.
As in kids, you mean adults?
I mean,
They're kids to me. They're kids to me right now.
I guess I'm not terribly concerned. I feel like since COVID, everything closes early,
Yep.
and it's hard to go find
trying to get them back to
that
be honest.
gallon of milk at 11 o'clock if you need it.
Well, wasn't there a guarantee that they wouldn't stay open later than midnight?
That's what they're saying, but there's no ordinance
intend.
requirement, and
They intend.
so unless we make it a condition,
Yeah.
they've expressed it to us.
Right. 20 years from now, they could change their minds. It doesn't bother me. But I'm one person.
I don't have any strong feelings on it either.
So you'd be okay with it being 24?
I mean, maybe
Well,
even.
you-
Well, I wouldn't have a problem with the gas station convenience store. My only concern, and again, just my opinion, my only concern is we've heard people talk about the Coney being open 24 hours and the people that are drawn to it.
Great. They heard you because that's their intention as well. So the QSR, this is not going to be another Coney Island. It's going to be a small local. Could be there's a lot of new new concepts coming out. Right, we're working with these Soroki's Pizza, whatever it is. They're not going to open. They're not going to be 24 hours a day. No, they're not built that way.
If I think of, for example, Mr. Kebab here.
Yes.
And I think back of being 21, that's not where I'm going after the bar to hang out, right? It's just
You're going to
not
Coney.
set up. Yeah, I mean, it's not set up with our own table to be stupid and whatever else, right? It's a restaurant, but kind of like a eat and move
They do have a proposed foods, 702 square feet. What do you envision in there? I know you haven't decided on a tenant, but.
Soroki's Pizza, Tasties. These guys are local family businesses, local here. They're actually a cool product. They want to be in certain cool environment, certain areas. Again, this is not, and the gas station owners who are going to be keeping in the family, they're not going to looking to. They're closing early and the restaurant's gonna be open later. No, it's the opposite. So the QSR, very small service, again, some of these, Soroki's Pizza actually has, they do a sandwich and salad bar or even packaged products. So if they do close at, let's say 8, 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, the customers can actually still come in and pick up from an open case sandwich, which is really nice tastefully. It's not hidden in a cooler or anything like that. So they can grab it to go. For those firefighters or police officers who want to go home from work and they want to grab a product, Mr. Kebab, but rather than going to a late night dinner place. So, you guys want that here. You don't want just business closing at 6 o'clock and then there's no environment where you guys leave late. So,
Based on what we've heard from the community too about the ownership, it sounds like, one of their goals is to keep the community happy and work with the people in the community to make sure that they're supportive of what they're doing. So that also alleviates some of the concerns in terms of, if they ever did decide to open later.
with this owner.
Right,
Special
yeah.
land use is run with the land.
Yeah.
They do. Do we
Is it-
need to delve into this? I guess here's
I
my
guess,
question.
does
Do we
it
need
hurt
to-
anything to say they can't serve food past midnight?
I mean, because that's gonna run with the special land use too.
Yeah.
It's not just a site plan. So if 10 years from now, everything is different, like, you know, like
Yeah.
we lived in the 24-hour before COVID, right? Everything was open 24 hours and then all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh wait, we don't have to be open 24 hours? You know,
Is that something that whatever owner could petition to, if they wanted it open later, so?
would they have to go through the whole, like, how would that, would it have to be how did they do that?
They would
'Cause-
amend their special use permit.
Okay.
So it's it's the
Essentially
similar
this.
process,
Okay.
yes.
So I would be open to putting a restriction.
So restriction,
No.
no, restriction,
Yeah.
So let's talk about what our options are then. We can't allow, I don't know that we have options, because we can't allow it to be open 24 for this particular owner. But if it transfers ownership, then there's a restriction. I guess I can't think of a way to make it work to ensure future owners of the property don't abuse that right. And I think we all are in agreement that we don't believe these current owners would abuse that. But once you grant a special land use, it runs with the land, and that's the concern that I'm having.
How is the new zone, does the new zoning ordinance have any verbiage about hours of operation for any kind of use?
In the gateway?
I don't think it
I don't think it does
No.
for, in any of the zoning districts.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think
could a
there are-
restaurant be open, I'm sorry.
No.
Could a restaurant, a brand new restaurant, could it be open 24 hours a day in the gateway district if it wasn't a special land use?
So,
And the only aspect that we're reviewing a special land use for is the gas station.
yeah, exactly. The new ordinance, it has hours of operation 12 to 6 for a lot of specific uses that are called out, like drive-in restaurants, massage parlors, but it doesn't include gas station. Yeah, and sorry, apologies if you just said this, Commissioner Hamame, but this would you could only restrict for the special use. You couldn't restrict for the restaurant because it's permitted by right.
Right.
And a restaurant can be open 24 hours.
Right. It's
So we
following.
could close the gas station down at midnight, but we couldn't close the restaurant down.
Or
is
the
what you're saying.
convenience store
Yeah.
part of it.
Good point. So is C-stores considered 24/7 or allowed to be 24/7 or no?
Yes.
See, again, this is just not a gas station. Gas canopy. That's it. So, you know, no, I just want to be clear. Like,
No, I
it's-
like the distinction.
So the
Appreciate it.
C-store can be open 24/7 in the QSR, the restaurant.
Yeah.
But it's just the gas can portion of it. So they can open 24/7 if they want.
I mean, and as far as that goes, I don't know that pumping gas is problematic
Correct.
if somebody's doing it at 3 in the morning.
No, it's not.
Okay, well,
Slightly off topic, but did you mention there's gonna be some EV spots?
one of the residents did, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw it somewhere in there.
Right now,
It's in the plan,
just south of
so-
the trash enclosure.
Thank you.
Trash, yeah.
I see now.
Okay, so we're all done with the hours thing,
Yeah, I think
right?
the hours is
things
kind
are
of a
gone.
moot point, right? I
How
mean-
are we with street trees? Do we feel like the landscaping has been made up by the living wall? Do we want to ask about street trees? How are we
I
feeling?
think street trees are almost impossible.
Yeah, I actually think the one that's being proposed might cause an issue from a sightline perspective, because it's in that corner. So like the person, kind of like that quasi triangle there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like especially if it's right out only.
The sight vision triangle, clear vision triangle.
Yeah.
What sheet are
well,
you on, Commissioner Arnton?
C8.
Oh.
Oh, it's at
Yeah.
the southwest corner of the building.
Oh, page 8 of it.
Oh, I'm looking at, sorry.
C8?
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, the tree that's right out next to the driveway on 12
What kind
Mile.
of tree is it though?
did say something, shade something.
The honey locust, which I
Shade master honey
think
locust.
is a more of an ornamental tree. Or I don't know.
So basically, we do not need more street trees.
Not if we're getting a living wall.
Like you said, I don't know where they would quote
Right.
any more.
Can I ask one more question
yeah.
to Kristen? Should we be making the lot combination a condition of approval?
We would require that anyways. It doesn't hurt to add it, but if the lot line stayed as they would, their variance list is gonna grow by a lot, because they wouldn't be meeting the setbacks. But if you want to add that, that would be great.
So would we ask them to remove the tree then from the 12 mile?
I think that this has been approved by engineering, right, Kristen?
It has. If you were more comfortable with, I don't know my landscaping terms, but more cone-shaped tree.
Arborvitae.
Like an arborvitae
Not
or something.
necessarily an
Arborvitae would be-
arborvitae.
That's worse.
Yeah, that
'cause
would
it's
be
But that's
worse.
worse, right? Because that's
Yeah.
an
I think
sightline.
it's a locust, and I think that's a small ornamental tree. What they
It
would
is,
call it,
yeah.
ornamental tree.
Can we just say, like, have a landscaper double check that that's the right tree to put there?
Yeah.
Does that feel okay?
Yeah, it feels fine.
Okay, because I don't know enough about trees. I don't think any of us do.
I was gonna let that one go,
Okay.
but just not require any more, just
We need
because
the
it
tree
seems.
board.
Yeah.
Where's our tree board?
Does it feel like there's anything that we forgot? Because I feel like there was a lot.
Well, I think we have to go through all the factors of everything, though. That's gonna be the hard part. We talked about what conditions of approval would look like.
You guys are good discussion-wise, except for the fact.
For the site plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other questions anybody has before we move to?
I guess one thing I've noticed through the downtown Berkeley master plan is if you look at the heat map for pedestrian safety map, it's on the pedestrian safety map, the darkest is at this intersection at Green and 12 Mile. And I'm not sure if there's anything that can be done to enhance safety, pedestrian safety, but I just kind of wanted to bring that to everyone's attention.
I agree. I mean, I think the only thing probably would be pushing the existing building back off the sidewalk.
What's that?
Pushing the existing buildings back off the sidewalk would probably help, but I guess, I don't think that's part of since it's already there.
Yeah.
Part of it's already there.
I mean, hopefully with like some updated buildings and, seems counterintuitive, but more people walking kind of makes you more aware of people walking, so.
Yeah, activating that edge will make it safer for pedestrians, and a lot of the direct safety actions would have to happen within 12 Mile Road, like if we're talking about actual barrier protections.
Yeah, which the county doesn't seem to be a big fan of at this point. Okay. Anything else before we move to? Okay. So let's see. First, we have to look at the automobile service station part, right? And make sure that they're complying with the following site development standards. An automobile filling and service station shall not be located nearer than 500 feet to a church, school, public park, or auditorium. That's good. Minimum size shall be 15,000 square feet, and in addition, gasoline filling and service stations shall have 500 square feet of site area for each additional pump. That standard was met.
They're all met except the driveway.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, do I need to read all of these? Okay,
Yeah.
so the driveway, that is a variance, so that would be contingent upon the ZBA giving a variance.
Yeah. The report says applicant must remove the driveway from 12 Mile Road or obtain a variance. And that's what the report from our planning consultant.
And you said you had met with the road commission and they were okay with it? Was that because it was existing location and it's basically grandfathered in, or?
So speaking to the southeast driveway, correct? I
Yes.
just want to make sure. Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously, existing driveway, we can't move the building. Again, thinking about trying to minimize additional traffic onto Elwood, and that, again, is a residential street, so there's not a ton of traffic coming off of Elwood itself. And then the other part is we are set back. I honestly don't know the dimension off the top of my head, but they were most concerned with proximity to the actual intersection of 12 Mile and Greenfield. So because this driveway is maybe 200 feet off of the intersection or 150 feet off the intersection, they weren't concerned with it.
And it's like 26.4 or whatever, so just under.
30,
Yeah.
I think.
All right, so special use considerations. The proposed use will promote the use of land in a socially and economically desirable manner.
Well, I think the resident that came out to speak today satisfied that requirement. They talked about it being a neighborhood store, family-owned, rooted in the community, treat people like family. I think all of those are sufficient factors for that.
And I think from a downtown, right, seeing that end starting to activate, starting to like have updated buildings, is key for our downtown and that planning too. So, I think a lot of other businesses would economically benefit from that. So are we all in agreement that that standard has been met?
Yes.
Yep.
Lovely. The proposed use is necessary for public convenience at that location.
I think it's the same with the residents that came out.
Yeah, I think I heard those words.
Yeah.
I mean, and I, like, you know, I get that there are gas stations close-ish, but we're also a dense area, so a close-ish gas station is not necessarily the most convenient gas station. When I'm heading towards Southfield, down 11 Mile, like, I'm often like, I don't want to turn left to go to this gas station in Oak Park, like, right on the corner, right? It's inconvenient, and then go back on my way. Can I live? Sure. Would it be more convenient if there was one that was an easy right turn? And yeah, right. So I feel like that area is okay for having a gas station. I'm doing a lot of talking. Are we all in agreement that that standard is met?
Yes. Yes.
Lovely. The proposed use is compatible with adjacent land uses. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Well,
Oh.
so it's because we are talking about the corner of 12 Mile and Greenfield, and it's, has commercial uses at, what is it, all the corners?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The proposed use is designed so that the public health, safety, and welfare shall be protected.
As much as feasible.
Considering it's an existing.
Yeah.
Well, based on probably the state laws and inspections and regulations.
And there are changes proposed that will enhance.
And I think the staff reviews approved, right? Fire and safety approved as well.
The proposed use will not cause injury to other property in the neighborhood. I feel like they have been really good neighbors so far. I don't see any reason to believe that shouldn't continue, and I think as far as the gas station part of it, the state will take care of that part to make sure that that's,
And they're consolidating the parcels. too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Is that all of them?
that is all of them.
Yep.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Look at you go.
Thank you.
Feverishly writing.
You guys are gonna have to help me here, though.
Probably not. We probably won't,
Yeah,
but
you probably will.
if need be.
Okay. At this time, I would like to make a motion to approve.
I think we're recommending approval.
Recommending the special land use,
Or- yeah.
approving the site plans with two different motions.
Okay.
Approving the PSP-02-25
Site plan.
site plan, but are we doing them separately then, two separate motions? Or
Yes.
just in, okay.
Yes.
Can we put it all in one motion?
Well, one's a recommendation to council, and the other is just a straight up approval.
So can we
no.
But I
say
could say and
recommending,
recommend.
yeah, recommending
You could.
and,
It would be cleaner for me if you would do that.
okay.
All right. Okie dokie, so.
Which one do you want first?
I'm gonna do the site plan, that's where I started.
All right.
So, motion to approve PSP-02-25, for properties located at 4162 12 Mile, 4150 12 Mile, and 4138 12 Mile. Because the standards for site plan approval have been met per section 138-679, and the landscaping as proposed meets section 130-37. And also.
Wait, is it the landscaping as proposed, or is it the landscaping with the condition?
I'm gonna add conditions once I go
Alright.
through the
Okay.
standards.
You don't need to go through standards for the site plan approval.
I do for the automobile standards.
That's for the special use motion that you'll be making.
Okay, I thought
So for the site plan, you could just do
messy.
approve, conditioned upon.
Okay. Told you I was gonna need help.
This one's just messy.
Okay, so then the site plan would include the trash enclosure, conditioned on obtaining a variance from the ZBA for the trash enclosure, conditioned on obtaining a variance from the ZBA for the southeast driveway along 12 Mile, and subject to all the outstanding items in staff and consultant reviews, and subject to the changes to the south elevations as discussed herein to be further evaluated and approved administratively, consistent with this board's discussions.
But they wanted numbers, so approximately 120 square foot.
Approximately
Two 10x8s.
two 10x8 minimum living walls on either end of the middle of the facade, and glazing in the center, approximately 12 to 14 feet by 12 feet.
Does that feel like we got everything? Somebody second it.
Second it.
Oh,
We said
Oh,
nothing about the
transparency
transparency
waiver.
waiver.
Correct. Good
So,
catch.
Catching your own mistakes.
So back up when I said all the sections of approval, add, and determine that,
8.9%. Well, no, because it'd be greater than 8.9. So we're just giving a waiver.
Waiver of the transparency requirements.
Yeah.
they include a waiver, so my motion should include a waiver of the transparency levels on the south elevation.
And we found that landscaping was,
We already said
we
that.
already said that. All right, lovely. We still have a second?
Support.
All right. Roll call?
Wait, so what about transparency? We're not adding we're adding additional glazing.
I
So
think you
we-
should sit
Good.
back down.
So
We
said
waived the
100
transparency.
There you go, okay, there we go. 'Cause I
So
heard,
you will get the glazing, we'll get that, but you don't have to meet 40%.
you got it. So it's 120 square feet of additional
Do
glazing.
you not want us to waive the
Yes,
transparency?
it was,
180.
it's 120 square feet of additional glazing and 160-ish square feet of living wall.
And to be clear, we said approximately because you need that wiggle room.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's as you
Perfect.
discussed.
Thank you.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah?
Commissioner Dolan,
Yes.
Commissioner Staff,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamame,
Yes.
Commissioner Ernstman,
Yes.
Commissioner Woods,
Yes.
Chair Kempner.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So now we have to approve the special land use, or recommend approval of the special land use. What order does this happen? Because that has to be contingent on the variances.
Not the trash enclosure, just the driveway on the southeast side.
So before it goes to council, it'll go to ZBA and then come to council as a package?
It's gonna go to council first.
Okay, that feels even more confusing, but all right.
Yeah,
Hey,
So shouldn't
it's out of our hands.
Shouldn't our previous motion have been subject to receiving special land use approval?
No, because there's nothing in the
No.
site plan. Or no, the dump.
Well, the site plan can't
Oh,
move
you
forward if
mentioned
the
the
use
dumpster.
can't move forward, right?
But we
So-
didn't add a subject to.
Would you like to amend the motion?
I would.
Well,
Okay.
Okay. I mean,
So the dumpster enclosure,
So
it would be
we couldn't
contingent upon the
So-
ZBA approving the dumpster enclosure being moved to the
But
side.
all of it.
sure.
The special land use that we are recommending approval, that I presume will make a recommendation of approval on,
Yeah.
I'll clean this up in a
authorizes the
minute.
gas station. Right. Without that special use approval, the gas station can't be there. We just approved a
Sure.
site plan that has a gas station.
Sure, but isn't that kind of,
I mean, I don't think it really matters,
Yeah.
right? They can't move forward with the site
but
plan
I'm
if they
okay.
don't have the
I'm
use,
okay
but
with that in it.
like,
I'm not opposed to
I'm
it, I
totally
just-
cool with double, triple
Seems
checking.
redundant.
Do we have to re-vote on the amended?
Yes, we should. So
Okay.
the
So,
maker of the motion is
amended?
amending the motion.
You cool with it?
Yeah, support?
Yes.
Okay.
And she supported.
Okay, we'll do this again. Commissioner Dolan,
Yes.
Commissioner Stapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamame,
Yes.
Commissioner Ernstman,
Yes.
Commissioner Woods,
Yes.
and Chair Kempner.
Yes.
Motion passes again.
All right. Special land use.
Why are you looking at me?
You got the notes
Special
down
land
there.
use?
It's hard.
Oh, I thought you were doing them.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to approve, to recommend approval of PSU, thank you, -01-25 for property commonly known as 4162 12 Mile, 4150 12 Mile, and 4138 12 Mile. Because it meets the automobile standards of section 138-429 with the exception of the driveway in the southeast corner along 12 Mile. And the motion will be subject to obtaining a variance for that driveway, which would then, if that's obtained, would have met all of the requirements of that section. Additionally, the standards of approval of 138-653, because we have heard from a lot of the residents today that have talked about the use and how it would promote socially and economically desirable, in a desirable manner, because it's a neighborhood store, family-owned. They're rooted in the community, as well as the activation that this might prompt in the area. We also have determined that it meets the second criteria because of the public convenience. Again, we heard from residents explaining to us the convenience, and just because there are other service stations, gas stations nearby, this is a very highly dense area, and so it would be convenient to the residents in this area to have a gas station as close as this is. As far as being compatible with adjacent uses, we're talking about property located at 12 Mile and Greenfield, where there's commercial uses at all the corners, and in fact currently exists as a commercial use. We don't believe that there's any reason to believe that this use would be injurious. In fact, we think that it will enhance the property, and it's already an existing commercial use at this location. Similarly, we don't believe the public health, safety, and welfare will be in jeopardy and does enhance the area, since considering that it's an existing use with commercial uses, we feel that it's met the standard as well. So my motion is to approve because it's met all of, recommend approval because it's met all of those standards. However, it is subject to compliance with outstanding items and staff and consultant reviews, the variances for the trash enclosure in the southeastern driveway.
Just the driveway, not the trash enclosure for the special land use. Trash is just for site plan. That's not part of that, right? Special, we can't use the trash as a special land use holdup, right?
Yeah, that's a site plan.
Yeah.
Condition.
You don't put conditions on site plans, so doesn't it have to attach to
A condition of the approval to be reviewed yeah, you put it as a condition of the approval for the site plan already.
Yes, so you're saying we don't need it for the special land use?
No. Because
Okay.
it's not about the gas station use. It's
Okay.
about the site plan standards.
Okay, in the driveway?
The driveway you covered in both.
Is specifically to the gas station.
Okay. Also, subject to changes in the south elevation as discussed, which includes.
That would just be site plan as well.
Yeah, I think you
I think
nailed
we're
it.
done with the special land use part. Yes?
Okay.
Okay.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stapp.
Yes.
Commissioner Hamame.
Yes.
Commissioner Ernstman.
Yes.
Commissioner Woods.
Yes.
Commissioner Dolan.
Yes.
Chair Kempner.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So I hear you're going to council next and then the ZBA, so good luck.
Appreciate your time. God bless you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Give this a hot second.
That was a doozy.
Hold on, we're not done yet. All right. Liaison reports.
Oh, she has a gavel.
Gavel happiness. Thanks.
We give it like, thank you.
I don't want to interrupt the revelry, but can we, so we can finish our meeting?
We wouldn't go home
Just
too.
or the spelling of your name. correct.
Thank you. All right, liaison reports. Anybody got one?
No, ZBA didn't meet this month, so.
Sounds like you're meeting next month.
Yeah, sounds like they're meeting next month. That should be a good one.
I don't have a ton for DDA. We're going through the budget and planning Pride, which I should have the date on the top of my head, and I absolutely don't.
Sometime in June.
It is in June. And we got approval for it, so yay for that. Did you have something?
Yep.
It looks like you have something.
I did go to the Chamber of Commerce meeting. So let's see here. The big thing is the Art Bash coming up on the 14th. They are looking for volunteers if anyone's interested. They're going to have a Level Up event upcoming on June 26th for businesses. They discussed their internship program, I believe, with the Berkley High School students, juniors, and I think juniors leading into seniors.
Were they coming, like, did they work for a business or what?
No, for the chamber.
Okay.
And kind of help with marketing and things. They'll be managing their TikTok account.
Oh.
Coming up.
Seems like the right age.
Social media stars.
Yep. They'll go to, and I think they'll showcase different businesses, local businesses and such. So.
Cool.
I'm gonna put your motion on TikTok, please.
Is there a time limit for that?
So
You're gonna be doing it next time.
I know, right? Shush, she makes the motions. If she doesn't,
I had
you
to do it when she was absent.
She did
I feel like
great.
someone else should make it.
And that was about it.
It's the nice thing about being chair.
Carlisle Wortman did a training for one of my other communities and says we have to say our findings in our motion.
I mean, I love that. Yes. I mean,
You could say, based on the planning commission's discussion of the findings at the date of this meeting, because then, per the minutes, you would have said it all when you.
But
went
those are
through it.
discussions, those aren't findings.
and then you have to have a good minute. Not that I'm saying that you're not a good, but I'm just saying like you have to have a good minute taker. So if you have somebody that is less wordy in their minutes, then you might not have
Yeah, you might
those
miss that.
discussion. You know, clearly.
Is there's a webinar? Because that would be a good one for all
It
of us to
would.
watch.
It
It
would.
wasn't a webinar, she just came out and did a training for one of my other.
It maybe should be a
communities.
We could do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would
because
be
I think
really-
we
that'd be
like.
awesome.
I've been unimpressed with the training opportunities, so, or at least I've taken them all before. So now I feel like I don't know what to take anymore.
So motion making training?
Motion making training.
Yeah, that would be. I
Well,
think that would be
it
super.
was,
helpful.
it
Love
was
it.
more of, actually, in that case, it really was about special land uses and how to evaluate them, because this particular community needed some help. But it could be more of a,
Yeah.
It could be catered to whatever you want. Who was it?
I mean,
Megan did it.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, ZBA, right? Like they could be all of our boards.
maybe we could have it at a local restaurant / bar.
Ooh, training and drinks sounds lovely.
And that would count towards our requirements.
It
Yeah.
would, yes.
Would it be available to all boards and commissions? Like, I'm just thinking, I
Except
don't know,
council.
would it be a
Well,
top?
yeah, because.
Except for council.
So we do have to have for
Well, they are
redevelopment
gonna have
ready.
to evaluate the special land use on their own.
They are, yes, and we have to
From
have
an
joint
ad-
meetings.
Right, from an
once a
administrative,
year.
which I think, love you, council, sometimes is struggle with, right? Because they're so used to looking at things legislatively instead of administratively. So,
I'm thinking other boards and commissions too, though, because we're kind of pushing that. That was one of my reports. I don't know if it's my turn yet.
Like
It is
just
now.
running a meeting and okay.
So I'm on the ad hoc committee, so we're finalizing our updated handbook for boards and commissions. You guys are kind of exempt because, you know, the state law kind of tells you guys what to do. But our other boards and commissions are getting a new handbook, which is great. Been working on it, I don't know, 6 months maybe, so not that long, but getting it through. And then the budget passed. Pilot workforce housing went through, and then the first reading of the PUD in Columbia, the updated PUD, also went through. So.
I did have a question on that. So, in thinking about our new zoning and how, like, say PUD comes to us and has some affordable housing component to it, can they then go and ask for additional benefits from this pilot program as well?
Anyone can ask,
Okay.
and it wouldn't be part of your discussion. 'Cause
It wouldn't be, it's totally a council, it's council, not administrative, right?
It's council, yep.
Okay. But that would be brought up to them in the process of it, right? Like, they got these waivers because it was affordable housing already.
And it doesn't have to be the whole project either, correct? Like, could be 20 units out of 100 or 500
Okay.
or 200 out of 500, however they want to.
500 would be a lot.
It would be. It would be.
Where would we put that?
Even 100 would be a lot, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Okay, cool.
yeah, 500. There's not a plan for 500. Please.
Anything else?
Training hours are due June 30th.
Can you let us know how many we have?
Yeah, I can
They're
send out those.
June
emails.
30th?
Yes.
Again, a couple days?
There's enough time.
Okay.
You got a whole month?
It's only May.
That feels
It's
like a
only
couple
May.
days, almost
When
like.
is Carlisle Wortman doing that training?
Not
In June?
this fiscal year.
Yeah, let's push to next year so I can get it again.
I think the other thing I'm signed up for doesn't happen until July too. So anyways, yeah, can you let
I'll
us know
resend
where
it
we
to
are
everyone.
and?
Yep.
I just did a webinar on land use updates.
Yes, I have that. I think I have that written down for you.
Is it gonna be a mass email so we can see who's gonna?
No, I'll
So we
do
can
everyone
shame.
individually.
I think I'm that, so.
All right, anything?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 9:04.
Great motion, Shiloh.
Thank you.